Oh, yeah! You know what time it is. That's right, it's time for the Eddie and Webbys podcast! Yo, I'ma bust out some theme song action for you. Check it out. The Eddie and Webbys show is the place to be. They're talking about beer and pickleball and technology. So if you didn't know, now you know. 'Cause it's time for the Eddie and Webbys show.
On today's episode, Eddie and Webby do the baking soda challenge. This is the Eddie and Webby podcast.
Oh, hey, how's it going? This is Webby, not Eddie.
And I'm Eddie, and this is our 21st podcast.
Oh, yeah, episode number 21. This is just crazy, hot off the heels of an excellent episode number 20.
Yeah, I can't believe it. We're here. Our podcast is old enough to now drink in America.
It is. That's crazy. It's all grown up.
Yes, I can't believe it. By the way, what did you guys think of our new intro music?
Thank you to everybody that voted for it and made that our official podcast theme song.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Glad you guys picked that one. That was actually my favorite, and super excited about our new theme music.
Oh, yeah. Every good show has to have a theme song, and that's actually something I feel like is lacking in a lot of current shows today. Like, there's hardly ever a theme song anymore.
Yeah, nobody cares about it anymore, but we do. So, we have another special episode.
Yes. Another one.
I can't believe it. Usually we talk beer, tech, and pickleball. We're going to skip tech again.
We are. I'm sorry, Tech.
Yes, we do have a special guest today, but we're not going to ruin the surprise just yet. And before we get into talking with our special guest, Webby, what's going on in Twitter?
Ah, yes, Twitter. Let me go and check out the Twitter sphere and see what's going on there. So we do actually have some new comments today. Here's one from Most Pallone. I really dig the pickleball anthem. Are you guys ever going to perform it live? Interesting.
That's, very good question. Thank you, Most Pallone.
I actually never thought about performing it live before, but how cool would that be to perform it live? I'd never even considered that before.
We should do it live.
We'll do it live! But yeah, that was a great question, and I don't know, we don't have any plans to do it live, but maybe we should do it live sometime.
The Eddie and Webby Summer Tour of 2019.
Yes. There we go. You heard it here first.
Yep.
All right, let's see what else we got on Twitter here. Here's one from Pooh Ferrigno. The guests on the podcasts have been way more interesting than at Eddie and Webby. The show should have just guests and not Eddie or Webby. Well, that wasn't very nice.
Yeah, that wasn't very nice, but I do agree our guests have been pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's they have a very good point. Our guests have been awesome. We've been very blessed to have such good guests. I mean, I had no idea when we started reaching out to people to see if they wanted to be guests on our show. I had no idea so many of them would actually say yes. It's been almost overwhelming, and it's been amazing, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I still think we're kind of cool, right?
I think we're very cool. I think
Yeah.
I still think the Eddie and Webby podcast needs both Eddie and Webby to succeed.
I would agree.
So, but either way, thank you very much for the comment. Let's do one more Twitter comment here. Here's one from Henry Dinkler. Congrats on reaching 20 episodes. They have all been great, and I can't wait to see more. Oh, very nice. Thank you, Henry.
Yeah, that's very nice, Henry. I appreciate that. And you are going to see many, many more.
Oh, yes. But yeah, we had our milestone 20th episode last week. We're here at episode 21, and who knows, we could reach 500 before we know it.
You never know. I mean, how many is Joe Rogan at?
I have no idea. I don't follow Joe Rogan, but that's very good if he's reached that many.
We're taking him down.
We're coming for you, Joe Rogan. We're coming for you.
Yes. Oh, that was great. Well, if you guys want to tweet to us, please do at Eddie and Webby. We'd love to hear your feedback. You can also download the Anchor app and leave us a voice message. It's very likely that we will play it on the air as long as it's good, right?
Oh, yeah.
What are we going to talk about now, Webby?
So, as we were saying earlier, we have a very special guest today. And before we get more into that, I just want to say, for anybody that watches our channel regularly, it's no secret that I am a big fan of disc golf. And in fact, before I ever even knew what pickleball was, I was completely obsessed with disc golf. It's what I spent all my free time doing whenever I could get a chance. And once I got obsessed with pickleball, disc golf definitely didn't leave my life. I mean, I now I have two obsessions that I love. There's disc golf and pickleball. It makes it tough for me to figure out what to do with my free time because I never know, should I play pickleball? Should I play disc golf? But they're both things that are very near and dear to my heart. But speaking of disc golf, that brings us to today's guest. He is a professional disc golfer with a very impressive background. He is a former world champion. That's right, a world champion. And he's also a 3-time distance champion. In 2016, he served as a commentator for the inaugural Disc Golf World Tour. And throughout his disc golf career, he has reached a very impressive 56 professional victories. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an absolute honor and privilege to introduce to the Eddie and Webbys podcast, Mr. Avery Jenkins. Avery, thank you very much for being here with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Good to be on here.
Yeah, super excited you're with us today, man.
So let's kick it off with the obvious question. When did you first start playing disc golf?
Wow. So it takes it back quite a few years. I started at a very young age. I was about 6 or 7 years old when I first picked up the game. My parents got me going at a very young age. They were the ones always going down to the course. Found the sport locally at a course in Northeast Ohio. So they're the ones kind of going down there, word of mouth, hearing about this great course. They loved Frisbee, but it was another level of Frisbee. It was disc golf. So they actually got a chance to, participate in something besides just playing catch in the backyard, but actually playing and navigating through a course. And so my home course growing up in Northeast Ohio was Roscoe Ewing Park in Medina, Ohio. And I grew up around disc golf. Sure, I played basketball and baseball and football when I was younger, but disc golf, I don't know, something that challenged me. It escalated from there. I never thought I would have got to this level years, in the making, but I'm very fortunate. I found the sport at a very young age, and it's my life. It's everything I do. Every single day revolves around something disc golf related. I live it, I eat it, I breathe it. It's disc golf is everything for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love disc golf. I wish I had learned about it at a younger age. I wish it was in my life for longer than it has been. But yeah, I agree. It's such a great sport.
Yeah, so you talked a little bit about your family and how they got you involved in it from a young age. I've also heard that you have some other impressive statistics within your family that also plays competitively. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So being raised in a disc golf family, my mom's a 3-time world champion in the sport, and coming up the ranks, as a junior player, I kind of always aspired to, be a champion in a lot of ways, and watching my mom win 3 world titles was pretty impressive. But along those lines, my sister came up, being part of disc golf, being part of the family, and she ended up winning 3 years in a row. She won 2007, 2008, and then 2009 alongside me. We actually both won in 2009. So being the first brother and sister, sibling world champions ever win the world championships. And then later on down the line, my sister won the 2016 world championships. So she won 4 world titles, mom winning 3 world titles, and myself winning 1 world title. It's definitely a disc golf family through and through. And, definitely a family of champions within the sport. And besides, being competitive players, we're so involved in so many other things and facets that involve disc golf on a daily basis.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive. That's
Yeah, it
really
is.
amazing.
That's awesome. So how many tournaments on average would you say you compete in per year?
That's definitely evolved and changed throughout the years. When I was on tour and traveling and playing, Every single weekend I was, playing anywhere from 35 to 40 tournaments a year. My best year was 2002. I played 46 events. So you think about that,
Oh
46
wow.
weekends in a year. That's very little downtime and very few
Yeah.
weekends that I was playing that year. But I was always averaging around, 25, 30, 35 many of the years, even my prime, playing a lot of tournaments. Every single weekend was occupied with some kind of disc golf event. The last 5, 6 years, I've definitely toned it down, playing maybe 10, maybe 15 events a year max, involved in so many other things beyond just being a competitor, doing commentary for the Disc Golf World Tour, teaching, instructing, coaching, doing course design. Like I said, I wear a lot of hats within disc golf, and not just being a former world champion, a competitor, but doing so many other things on the business side of disc golf has definitely taken over a lot of my time in recent years.
I don't know about you, Eddie, but I would love to try and go to a training session from Avery here. I know my game definitely needs a lot of help.
If you think your game needs help, man, Avery Webby puts me to shame with his. I suck. I just flat out suck at disc golf. I love it, but I suck.
That's what keeps you coming back for more, though. It's a challenge.
Yeah, for sure.
And
That's
you
right.
think disc golf's hard, try golf. There's so many other, more difficult sports out there. But it's the beauty of flights. Watching a disc fly. I'm in awe every time. I love watching a disc fly, and especially fly far. But what better way to spend a really nice afternoon out there in the park, at a course with your friends? It doesn't get much better than that. The simplicity of what disc golf is, aside from the competitive level, just being out there and playing, it's one of my favorite things to do.
Oh, for sure. And I love, there's so many different types of courses, especially here in Michigan. Like there's such great scenery. And Eddie and I took a trip to Colorado a couple of years ago, and we played
There you
disc
go.
golf out there, and just playing with being able to see such great scenery, like mountains in the background and stuff like that. I mean, it's hard to beat.
Yeah. It's great to see where courses are going in the ground. There's so many cool environments you can really put a course, from the mountains as you're describing, but anything in the plains, anything, through the forests, rivers, mountains, streams, like having the different environments to throw a disc is incredible. And as much as I travel throughout the country, if not the world, I've played in 21 different countries, and just surpassed 1,000 courses this past
Wow.
spring. So I'm on a mission, unlike anything else. There's only about 12 people that have surpassed the 1,000 mark in courses played. And it's something that drives me more than anything, is to see how many I actually can play. And I go out of my way each and every road trip to play more and more.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
A lot of fun. So how much have you talked about disc golf on these shows? I know you said you specialize and talk about pickleball a lot, but how much in depth have you talked about disc golf for those viewers that haven't seen or heard about it?
Really not very in depth at all. I think I've mentioned it maybe twice in our first 20 episodes, so haven't really gone into it in depth at all, but I definitely plan on doing more so in the future. Like I
Yeah.
said before, disc golf is one of my passions in life. It's one of my favorite free time activities.
Good.
We're also big into craft beer. That's part of our show. And so we like sports that seem to be aligned with craft beer. Pickleball is one of them. We're starting to find a lot of, connections between pickleball and craft beer, but disc golf is also another big one where there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of correlation with craft beer.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think I've ever played a round of disc golf without seeing at least a couple tee pads that are lined in craft beer bottle caps, or some kind of artwork, or like in a design that's made out of the craft beer bottle caps.
Seriously, I can't think of a sport that's more aligned with craft beer than disc golf. And anybody I know at the high levels, and definitely the friends I hang out with, huge into craft beer.
So how long were you playing competitively before you got your first sponsor?
I wasn't playing very long, actually. Coming from a disc golf household, a disc golf family, we were very in tune and a network of disc golf. So, transferring from an amateur status, playing amateur advanced events, and transitioning to professional, I got sponsored within the first 10 months. So the first year I was a professional, picked up some good wins, picked up some bigger wins as a rookie, and got sponsored my first year by Innova Champion Discs. They're the largest manufacturer of golf discs in the world, out of Southern California. And one of the cool stories was I actually got picked up and invited to join the team by one of the owners of Innova, which is a pretty rare circumstance these days to be invited on the team by the owner. It doesn't happen all that often, and it probably hasn't happened too many times since. But I got picked up by Innova Champion Discs and a variety of other sponsors, from shoe companies to bag companies to apparel companies. And it's kind of what it's helped me and guided me as a player. Doing this on my own is not the easiest thing to do. Go out there and travel and go out there and compete and go out there and play every single weekend. It takes its toll, and it costs some money. Obviously, we make some money and enough to kind of get by through the travels and support ourselves. But sponsors, support of, travel and accommodations and product and bonuses and signature discs and everything else, they've definitely helped guide my way and guide my career as being a player for the last 20 years now.
Nice. Now, I'm learning a lot of great stuff from you, and one thing I just learned is I think I've been saying the name of Innova incorrectly my whole life, because I always say Innova. Is that not the right way to say it?
Think of innovations.
Yeah, it makes way more sense to say it that way. I've just been saying it wrong too.
There you go. You want to perform, and you want to be loyal to that company that supports you, and you want to support them in every way possible. And
sure.
I have grown Innova Discs for 20 years now. I'm also sponsored by a company called Discmania Discs, which is a sister company of Innova. They're more the European brand of Innova, but Innova still makes their discs. So I throw for Discmania and I throw for Innova.
So let's say I go to one of your clinics, or, start to pick up my game a little bit, and I want to go pro. How does somebody go about becoming a pro disc golfer?
So it's kind of different in disc golf. It's been said in years past, when you sign up for the PDGA, the Professional Disc Golf Association, you either check a box if you're a pro or an amateur. All you gotta do is check a box, you pay your dues, and you can play whatever division you like. Now, to be actually categorized and classified as professional, it's by a certain player rating. Sure, you can play pro. You can play pro right now. You could play an event right now and sign up for professional, but it doesn't, make you really a pro, even though you're playing in the pro ranks. But earning your spot, having a certain player rating, having certain finishes. And there's a variety of, certain classes of pro, local pro, regional pro, a national pro, and more like a world-class pro, a pro that travels and plays and tours. A touring pro is what I've been for the last 15 so years, just traveling, competing, and playing the biggest tournaments every single weekend and playing at the highest levels. It takes some time though. You gotta really kind of come up the ranks. You gotta play locally. You gotta kind of build your rep, build your resume, if you will. Play smaller tournaments, get some wins. Play some bigger tournaments, kind of step your way up. And as you kind of come up the ranks, it's about winning. It's about finishing high, placing high, and the bigger tournaments you win, I think the better classification you have as a professional within the sport. But it's only growing. It's getting bigger each and every year. Bigger sponsors from inside the sport and outside the sport are gathering through, and the talent pool right now is off the charts. 10 years ago we had 5-10 players that could win on any given weekend. Now we probably have 15, 20, 25 players that can win on any given weekend, and we have some that are even separating themselves as almost super pros, or like I said, world class. That these top 4 or 5 players, they're in the top 5 every weekend. It's a surprise that they're not. So it's really cool to see the competitive level of disc golf at an all-time high, this year more so than ever.
That's awesome.
So Eddie, do you remember the first time you ever played disc golf? Do you know when it was?
It was probably in college, out in Kalamazoo somewhere, and
there you go.
I remember a friend of mine said, "Hey, let's go play disc golf," and this was 20 some years ago, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And I went out and I had a blast. It was a great time, and ever since then, it's always been something that I've thoroughly enjoyed. I've never had a bad time disc golfing.
There you go. What'd you think of the sport?
I definitely thought it was a challenge. I mean, it was a new kind of challenge, something that I've never experienced before. And I had golfed, for many years of my life leading up to then too, and I got the same sense of being outdoors and walking around and being in nature that you get from golf, but a totally different sense of what you're experiencing. I mean, it's not you in a club; it's your arm and a disc. And so there's a lot less variables, but at the same point, there's also a lot less tools involved in it. So it's a very raw sport that I thoroughly enjoyed, but it was a very big challenge for me, and it still is.
Good, good. That's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be easy, like I said, but it's
Yeah.
about enjoying your time out there, outside with your friends. And, I'm glad you got exposed to it even, 20 years ago, as you said, but, it's a great sport to be a part of.
Yeah, and I got exposed to it probably about 2 or 3 years after Eddie did. I didn't go to a traditional 4-year college. I went to a trade school, so I feel like a lot of my friends first experienced a disc golf in college, so I didn't get to experience that. But a few years later, after all our friends graduated from college, one of our friends was getting married, and his bachelor party actually involved disc golf. And that was my first time ever even hearing of disc golf. I had never heard of it before. It was my first time playing it. And I actually did really good. I've always been really good with a frisbee. Like, I've always had real good aim. Whenever I play catch with a friend, I've always been real good at throwing it right to them. So I feel like I was kind of a natural in regards to being able to throw a disc pretty good. And I think I might have even won that day. It was my very first time ever playing. And if I didn't win, I was one of the best of our group that played. And I instantly fell in love with it. I was like, I love this sport. I have no idea what it is, but I love it. And I got hooked immediately. And I'd say that was probably about maybe 15 years ago or so, something like that. And but yeah, just immediately, I loved it. And like you said before, Eddie, it's a bad day disc golfing is still a really, really good day, because even if you like do really bad, it's just such a great experience.
And you said it right on that. The addiction is strong with disc golf. For those viewers that haven't played or haven't tried it, even if you've ever even heard about it, go out there and try to find a local course, near you. There's something like 6,500 courses throughout the U.S. So there's plenty to choose from. No more than an hour sometimes, depending on how remote you live. But go try it. Go out there. You only need a few discs. You could really golf with one if you really had to, but pretty inexpensive sport, about $10, $15 a disc. And you go out there and it's a good time. And you're talking about being addicted, right off the bat, finding enjoyment, being out there playing a very inexpensive sport, but to be outside and throwing is it's a lot of fun.
Definitely. Webby, you also have kind of another personal story when it comes to disc golf, right?
I do. Disc golf has had a huge impact on my life in general. And the reason for that is I actually proposed to my wife while playing disc golf at a course in Eau Gray, Michigan. And so I actually had a custom disc made, and it said, "I love you, Amber. Will you marry me?" on the disc. So we were playing. She had no idea. We were about halfway through the course, and finally, like the right moment came. So she was about to throw the disc, and I said, Hold on, Amber. I've got a different disc that I think would be better for you on this hole." So I grabbed the disc that said, "I love you, Amber. Will you marry me?" Gave it to her, and the rest is history. She did say yes, for those that aren't aware. So I had a happy ending.
Wow, creative, nice. That's a great story.
Yeah, thank you. And I was lucky enough. My daughters were there, and my oldest daughter actually recorded the whole thing, so we have it all on video. And I posted it to YouTube a few years ago, and it got pretty good traction in the disc golf community. It's got over 5,000 views pretty quick.
Nice.
So it was my first taste of somewhat viral video action.
Yeah. Well, that's a creative way to do it, and a very special moment. And a shared on a disc golf course that means a lot.
Every year we go back to that disc golf course, get pictures taken there and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
they do a lot of tournaments there. So I try to do at least one tournament a year there too, because the people that play there are awesome. It's an awesome course.
What course is that?
It's the old airport disc golf course in Eau Gray, Michigan. One thing I was going to mention is one of my favorite apps that I have on my phone. It's the UDisc app, and it'll tell you anywhere near you that has a disc golf course. It pulls up a map, and then you can see disc golf baskets on the map of the area near you, and you can even like zoom out and see the whole country, and you just see disc golf baskets all spread across the country, and it'll tell you how to get there. It tells you ratings on those courses. So that's one of my favorite apps for sure that I have on my phone.
as a course collector, I got that locked and loaded on the phone at all times. So
Are there any other apps or anything that you would recommend to help support people that are interested in disc golf?
there's two main apps that I use for at least collecting courses and scoring and storing rounds and such. UDisc, like you said, is a newer app, but it has a lot of information on there, especially trying to track down local courses, trying to find rating, trying to find a better course than most. But also there's Disc Golf Course Review is another app, DGCR, and yeah, it's a good app to find and track and locate courses as well. They have different reviews on there. People post photos on there. You get a kind of lay of the land on what you expect before getting there, and a good way to navigate, from where you park your car to T1 and kind of find your way through the course. So Disc Golf Course Review and UDisc are the top two apps that I use when I'm tracking down local courses.
So as we mentioned before, we do focus on pickleball a lot on this channel. Have you ever played or even heard of pickleball before?
You don't use a pickle, huh?
You can, but not typically.
So we have two courses on our property. I live just north of Tulsa, Oklahoma these days. And my wife's family has a 300-acre ranch, and we have two disc golf courses on it. So we have 36 holes, and we have players come up here, every weekend, sometimes throughout the week, and we get huge groups of players, 15, 20, 30 players at a time. And there was a player out here this past weekend talking about playing pickleball. And I had him explain to me what it was and what the sport was, what the details are, what it entails. And he seemed pretty excited about it. Obviously, he loves disc golf too, but he tried to explain his passion for the sport of pickleball.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great sport, but yeah, it's really hard for me to choose. Like disc golf and pickleball, they're so different. I mean, it really just depends on the mood I'm in, what I want to play that day. But they're both great sports. And one of our very first guest that we had on the show, Andrew from the Pickle and Pints group, he's a huge disc golfer as well. So there's a lot of people our age that are big into both pickleball and disc golf.
So explain to me real quick, a little tutorial on pickleball.
It's like tennis, badminton, and ping pong all rolled into one. Think about playing ping pong on top of a tennis court with a paddle that's a little bit bigger and a wiffle ball instead of a normal ball with holes in it. And so it's played a lot like tennis, but it's also played a lot like ping pong. So it's one of those games where you just have to go out and experience it. And very similar to disc golf, it's highly addicting once you get started.
So you're playing on a tennis court, you said?
Yeah, it's about half the size of a tennis court, but it's laid out very similar size net. One of the reasons that a lot of older people like it is because it is half the size of a tennis court. So it's not as hard on your joints when you're running. You don't have to run as far when you're playing.
So it's like almost, it's a combination of all those in a sense. Is it's singles and doubles, or is it always doubles?
Yeah, you can do singles and doubles. I personally prefer doubles. I've done singles a few times, and I don't get the same level of enjoyment out of it. I think doubles is the way to go.
Yeah, much more fun to play doubles.
And the ball has to bounce, right?
It has to bounce on the serve and the return, but after that, it's fair game. The only big rule that you have is there's the no volley zone line, and you can't enter that. You can't run up to the net and just smash it down. The only way you can ever go into that is if the ball bounces in there. And so that kind of that equals the playing field a little bit for the game.
So there's not a lot of spikes, you're saying, that in that area.
Yeah, not up front. The goal really is to force your opponents to hit it up to where standing 3 feet away, you're able to smash it down and make a non-returnable shot. That's kind of, to me, that's like, if you can get to that point, then you're going to do really well at the game.
The kill shot. Gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And I'll take this moment to do a shameless plug and tell you, if you look up the Pickleball Anthem, either on YouTube or any music streaming site, you will find the song and music video that we created called the Pickleball Anthem, and it gives a brief description of what pickleball is and the rules, and it's in rap song form.
There you go. See, I was going to look it up today, and then I just figured you guys would tell me anyway, so I wanted to wait to hear the explanation.
Nice.
Well, this has been fun, Avery. If we have people that want to follow your adventures, Is Instagram the best way to go for that?
That's probably the most active out there is Instagram. It's Avery Jenkins. It's just at Avery Jenkins on Instagram. I do a lot of traveling when I'm out there playing on the tour and tournaments and such, doing course designs, traveling the world. I still make it over to Europe a couple times a year. I was just over in Czech Republic and Sweden and Iceland a couple weeks back, and then I'm actually traveling over to Norway in September. So keep quite busy on the travel schedule. I've been all over the planet playing and competing and, doing all kinds of various disc golf activities throughout the world. But yeah, following my travels, I try to keep it interesting. I try to go out there and post a lot of stuff about actual disc golf, but even the travels, I get to travel some pretty cool locations. Recently Gothenburg and Prague and Stockholm and Reykjavik, Iceland. Like, I definitely enjoy where disc golf takes me, and I don't go to most places where there isn't disc golf. So it kind of works out both ways that, I like traveling, I like playing disc golf, and it all goes hand in hand with, what I really enjoy to do.
Well, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, this has been an awesome show. I can't thank you enough for joining us.
Absolute pleasure.
This is actually the point in the show where we would normally switch gears and go to our beer review. Avery, do you happen to like drinking beer by any chance?
I've been known to enjoy a pint or two. Yeah.
All right. Well, would you be interested in joining us for the beer review section of our show?
It'd be absolutely my pleasure.
All right. Nice. Do you happen to have a beer with you that you would want to review with us?
Typically, yeah, no, I usually do have a beer with me at all times, but in this special occasion, I do have what's called the Prairie Bomb. It's from my friends down in Krebs, McAllister, Oklahoma, about an hour south of Tulsa. And excellent barrel-aged beer. And I'd love for you guys to join me in this savoring of this amazing, it's almost like a dessert, if you will. I'm glad you had a chance to source this beer wherever you're at. But it's a fantastic beer, and you guys are in for a special treat on this one.
Nice. Yeah, now I've never had it before, but I do just so happen to have a bottle of it right here.
And I just so happen to have a bottle of it right here as well. It's almost like we planned it.
Almost.
All right. Well, super excited to have you as part of the beer review, Avery. We're going to go ahead and do our typical Eddie and Webby stuff, but we're definitely going to open it up for you. So feel free to contribute as we go through the review.
Looking forward to it.
So this is Bomb by Prairie Artisan Ales. Before we pour, let's go ahead and pop our tops, let it breathe for a minute, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Prairie from their website. Prairie Artisan Ales is a small third-wave brewery from Oklahoma. They say that since our founding in 2012, we have brought a unique perspective to brewing. Sometimes that means big, bold, barrel-aged stouts, and other times it means super crisp and funky farmhouse ales. Every beer we brew is wrapped in unique, expressive, and interesting art. The experience is unlike any other you can find in beer. Quite the description, man. That was great.
Yeah, it is.
They have a few different locations, a brew pub in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a tap room in Oklahoma City, and then I also saw they have another location called Prairie 345 in McAllister, Oklahoma, but I couldn't find many details about that. Do you know about that place, Avery?
So where they brew, where their brewery is in McAllister. They started out in Krebs, which is the neighboring town to McAllister. It's about an hour south of Tulsa. And so that's kind of where they're starting up to have more of their brew pub style, maybe tap room exclusive kind of beers. But their Prairie Brew Pub in Tulsa is more of a kind of more their standard ales, their big bold stouts, their farmhouse kind of saisons, and they also offer food there. And the same goes as the Oklahoma City location as well. But I think the one in McAllister is going to be more of the unique, like I said, the more exclusive location for a lot of their smaller batch types of beers.
That's great. They were also rated in the top 100 breweries in the world by Rate Beer in 2015, which is very impressive.
Nice.
Yeah. Why don't we go ahead and pour the beer? And as we do, I'm going to read the description according to their website. Bomb is an imperial stout aged on coffee, chocolate, vanilla beans, and ancho chili peppers. The peppers add just the right amount of heat to complement the intense coffee and chocolate flavors. Bomb has been named a Rate Beer Top 100 beer in the world for 3 consecutive years.
Oh, wow.
This falls under BJCP category 20C, which is the Imperial Stout category. It has an ABV of 13%. So, Webby, this is by far the biggest beer that we have reviewed on this channel up to this point.
Yes, it is.
It's actually beyond the range of category 20C, which tops out at 12%. It's definitely a big beer. The IBUs are not reported, but typically in a beer like this, the bitterness is not necessarily something that needs to be reported on. I'm not sure the availability of it. I do see that it's probably one of their more regular beers. However, I don't know if you can get it all the time. Do you know, Avery?
It really all depends where you are in the country. Being centrally located in Oklahoma, a lot of the regional states from Texas to Kansas, Arkansas, anywhere around this area, pretty accessible to find it. That's why I was impressed you guys found it in Florida and in Michigan. But some of the better bottle shops will carry this type of beer. And for Prairie being one of the bigger breweries out there, rated in the top 100 breweries in the country, it's good to see that their distribution channels are out there a little more far spread than Oklahoma.
Yeah, I had to go quite a ways from my house to be able to find this. There was a beer store in the city of Livonia, and I'm definitely going to go back to that place. They had a huge variety, and it was the only place somewhat close to my house that I could find this beer, but very glad that I did. Very excited to give it a try.
And I'm glad I can bring out the biggest beer on your review here. So definitely cheers for that.
Yeah, for sure.
All kinds of firsts on this episode.
Yeah.
Good.
First thing we always do is we look at the appearance, and it's black, man. It's like motor oil black, very thick, molassesy kind of.
Very dark indeed.
I have a very nice kind of dark tan head floating on the top. Not like a Guinness head, even a little bit darker than what you get from a Guinness, but very, very pretty head on it too. Then we jump into the aroma, give it some sniffs. This beer should be at about 48 degrees when you serve it, so I'm trying to warm it up in my hands because I think it's a little bit cool, but hopefully we can get the full aroma from it here.
That is smelling pretty nice.
So you're getting that coffee, you're getting that vanilla. It's got that cocoa to it, and it'll have a small hint of those chili peppers in there.
Yeah, it's just a very light hint, almost like a green pepper skin kind of hint to the aroma, but very, very nice.
Yeah, I'm digging the aroma, that's for sure.
Yeah, you definitely get that coffee and that vanilla, like you mentioned as well. And yeah, there's a lot of spice in the aroma too, a lot more than I was expecting. Even though they say they put chilies in, I still wasn't expecting this much in the aroma, but very nice.
And I wasn't sure what to expect because, Eddie, you've told me in the past, like with the higher alcohol contents, a lot of times that will reduce the aroma. Is that right?
It will.
But in this case, I'm getting a really good aroma still.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with a beer like this, there's plenty of things in here to give you some very nice aromas. Yeah, very nice. Very nice. Then we jump into the flavor. Give it some sips here.
Ah, yes. My favorite part. Let's do it.
Wow.
Oh, man. That is good.
It's like dessert in a glass. Now, one thing you mentioned when you were talking about, bringing it up to a certain temperature with beers like this, and what I've learned in the past with a lot of different bigger beers that I've gotten from barrel-aged varieties of other breweries, this is actually room temperature right here. I didn't put in the fridge. I pulled it out of a box I have. I probably have a case or two of this at the house from my friends in McAllister and at Prairie Brew. Half of the brew crew plays disc golf. And so I'm well supplied in all Prairie beers from all their different sours to all their stouts. And actually just set this out at room temperature just in time for this to kind of keep it with the aroma, like you're saying, but also the flavors really release really nice at a warmer temperature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the more this beer warms up and the more sips I'm taking, I'm getting a lot of that heat. It's not even really heat. It's more just like a pepper spice to it.
Hmm.
That's wonderful. I'm getting the cocoa nibs for sure. That's coming through. Little bit of that coffee, almost like a tiramisu dessert kind of flavor to it, but super complex, man. I'm loving this.
Oh yeah, this is really good. But before I really say too much about the taste, there's one thing I haven't done yet.
Oh my.
That's got to be a tough one to gargle, man.
The gargle test, huh?
Yep, got to do the gargle, and it actually wasn't as tough to gargle as I thought it was going to be.
Really, man. I would have expected a beer like this to be very challenging to gargle.
I can definitely feel the spice though. I can definitely feel the spice after that gargle.
But it's not overwhelming. What that
No.
spice actually does, I think it brings out the essence of the chocolate and the coffee. I think it really kind of it gives a good finish. It's got a little capsaicin hit right at the very end, and leaves like a little spiciness in your mouth. Just a kind of
Oh, for sure.
sensation. More the sensation more than the flavor sometimes. But
Yeah, I'm loving what's going on with my palate right now. It's just there's a lot going on, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. This is definitely the most complex beer that we have reviewed on this channel so far. And every sip, I'm telling you, I'm just getting something new. Yeah, you mentioned the capsaicin, absolutely coming through, man.
yep. And so with this beer, this is their base beer, their bomb, and they do a lot of variations of the same beer. Within doing different variations from a birthday bomb, which you said you had another bottle of, which is more like almost like chocolate birthday cake. It's got the vanilla, it's got the chocolate a lot more than this. They do one called the pirate bomb, which is this aged in rum barrels with a little bit of coconut, so you got that more infused there.
Nice.
Paradise, another great variation of the bomb, and then Christmas bomb. So you got all this flavor with the bomb itself in a Christmas variation with a little more cinnamon, a little nutmeg, just a lot of different other flavors going on to complement the flavors in this the base of the bomb.
Man, you've definitely got me wanting to seek out all of those and try them because they all sound pretty amazing.
Yep, I agree with you. I think we definitely need to have them on our show, make appearances over the next year or so.
There we go.
I was able to find the birthday bomb, and I'm excited to try that. So I guess, Webby, anytime we're at the beer store, if we see any of the bombs, let's just grab them, man.
Oh, for sure. And actually, I tried to find the birthday bomb, but the place where I bought this from, they said they can't keep it in stock. As soon as they get it, it's gone within hours.
It's a tough one to get. And like I said, it'd be good to have, more of these kind of beers. Like they support disc golf. Like half the brewery crew play disc golf, and I know them all quite well. And even within my realm of being a disc golfer, I'm also a craft beer head, through and through. As much as I travel, I seek out craft breweries as much as possible. And, at this point, I have over 400 craft breweries that I've visited throughout the world.
Wow.
So I definitely enjoy the travel. I enjoy the disc golf, but I also enjoy, the finer things in life as well.
Wow, that's pretty impressive, man.
Very nice. And I've noticed a lot of my favorite craft beer breweries when they have a gift shop, a lot of them will have discs too. A lot of them will sell discs with their company branded on there.
It's a new cool thing to do, and Prairie definitely has a good selection of discs in their gift shop there.
That's cool. I love it. I love when we can combine craft beer with experiences like different sports, like disc golf.
For sure.
Let's jump into the mouthfeel here a little bit here. So, we talked a little bit about it. There's not a whole lot to say. I mean, it's definitely a medium, full-bodied beer. Decent carbonation. I mean, I guess it's low to medium, which you would expect with this style. Being 13%, I am getting a little bit of that alcohol warmth in the mouthfeel, which is to be expected. Not totally unpleasant, but definitely present.
Yep.
Great mouthfeel.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting a little bit of the alcohol warmth, but it's not in a bad way at all, especially for this high of an alcohol content. I mean, it's not bad.
And this is their flagship beer. This is the one they pride on probably the most. And there's a lot that goes into this. The ingredients are heavy. The brewers that I talk to, my head brewer friend and master brewers, they talk about how much time they got to reserve during a day or throughout the week just to brew this beer and keep up with the production, keep up with the demand. And it's a very sought after beer, obviously. And to get out there in the distribution chain, you know, people trying to keep this in stock as much as possible, but still it's a good beer, you know, on a good rotation, but it's also a really good beer to age. So I have quite a few set aside that I'll put away just to kind of always have some in stock for that reason.
Yeah, I could definitely see this being a beer that you leave on the shelf and then even 5, 6 years, pull it off, get some of that nice oxidation sherry flavor going to it. That's going to smooth this out real well. And I'm hoping maybe I get an invite to that, Avery. What do you say?
There you go. Always invited at the ranch. We got
Alright.
2 disc golf courses here, and we have bottles and bottles of Prairie. Always here, always fresh.
Yeah, I say Eddie and Webby hit the road, visit Avery, do some disc golf training, and drink some Prairie.
Wow, that'd make for a nice road trip. I'm telling you guys, you're absolutely welcome on the ranch.
I would absolutely do that sometime.
Well, I think we've all pretty much touched on our overall impressions of it. It seems like we all very much enjoy this beer. I can definitely see this as a nice dessert beer. I could see this as just a standalone sipper that you want. This to me seems like a great beer to have in the wintertime, huddled up around the campfire or around the fire in your house with a sweatshirt. But I could also see just enjoying this beer after dinner. I mean, there's a whole lot of places in your life where this beer fits in. And I would like to try every single one of those.
Good call on that. And one of the things they do and do well, they do a lot of collaborations. So Prairie travels quite a bit, and they usually use some kind of variation of the bomb. I know they did a collaboration with Trillium up in Boston, Massachusetts, and they did a variation collaboration called the Trill Bomb, which I haven't had a chance to try yet. I don't know if I ever will, but it sounded pretty intriguing. And doing brewery collaborations is one of the bigger things. And even myself personally, my lifestyle revolving around disc golf, revolving around beer. But my brother-in-law and sister opened up a brewery here in the next couple months up in Bend, Oregon, and they started a brand in a beer brand called Bevel Craft Beer up in Bend. And so they're getting everything going with the brewery now, starting up everything with the actual venue, the tap room, and gonna have food trucks outside, but doing a lot of work entailing with that and trying to open before the end of the year. So gonna have a brewery in the family, the 3,000 breweries in the country, finally gonna have a brewery in the family. And it's exciting.
Nice.
It's cool to
Very
see.
nice.
And they've done collaborations with Prairie as well. So it's good to see the network within disc golf and within the craft beer culture.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We've had really good luck, Webby, with having guests on that know craft beer and are able to talk about it. And yeah, I mean, Avery, you can tell you're definitely a craft beer head, and we appreciate your insight in this beer for sure.
My pleasure.
So typically, Webby and I take turns determining after our beer review whether or not we're going to chug what we have left in our glasses. But when we have a guest on, we let them decide.
If our guest says chug, we all have to chug.
I say I got a smaller glass, but I say we all chug to this one.
All right. Do your thing, Webby.
Ziggy zaggy, ziggy zaggy, oi oi oi. 3, 2, 1, go.
Wow.
Nice slammer too.
I got to tell you, man, I was actually thinking a 13%er to slam would be tough. That one went down real well.
Yeah, that was a lot easier to chug than I thought. I was kind of dreading this moment because I don't know why. I just had a feeling Avery would say to chug it, and I was kind of dreading it, but that was a lot smoother than I thought.
It's a beer for all occasions.
Yeah.
I agree, man. That was wonderful.
Yeah, it would be a great sipper, but as we proved tonight, it's also a great chug.
It's a great slammer, too. Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, that was a great review. Thank you very much for that. If you guys have a beer that you want us to review, you can always throw it in the comments down below. You can download the Anchor app. You can leave us a voice message. Let us know the beer that you want and maybe a little story why. We've had a couple of them that have led to good beer reviews, so keep them coming.
Yeah, well, Avery, I can't thank you enough for joining us today. That was an awesome show. It was super fun.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me on this. It's always good to talk disc golf and obviously talk about other passions and including craft beer. And I was also thinking you guys should get some discs with your logos on them. That'd be a cool thing to do, I think. As much as you love disc golf, evolving and moving forward, maybe get some discs with your logos on them be the next step.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that. I actually have a disc with our logo on it right here.
Nice. Very cool.
You know what I think would be really cool is if we do a contest where somebody wins one of these discs. What do you think, Eddie?
Ooh, I think that's a great idea. What are we going to make the contest about?
So what I'm thinking is the first person to leave a comment down below that tells us what city I proposed to my wife in while playing disc golf. I think that would be a very appropriate question to try and win this disc. So if you could be the first person that leaves a comment down below on what city that I proposed to my wife in while playing disc golf, you're going to win this disc.
Well, that's great. You have the opportunity to win an Eddie and Webby custom disc. I don't have one of those yet. And so can I enter or am I excluded?
I'm going to say you're probably excluded from this one, but we definitely need to mass produce these bad boys because they're pretty badass.
There's probably a way you can get one, I'm sure.
I think I know a guy.
So I gotta
That's
ask.
awesome.
I've been staring at it, but what's this medal around your neck?
Well, these are gold medals from the Beer City Open Pickleball Tournament that Webby and I played in Grand Rapids back in July. Now, you'd think we would have won these because we actually did well on the pickleball courts, but we didn't. We got our butts kicked. We actually won them because we did some videos while we were there that the Beer City Open, the people that run the Beer City Open really liked, and so they sent us honorary gold medals in their place, and so we have vowed to wear these until we win a gold medal by our own merits.
Please tell me you wear that on a daily basis.
Every single day, day in, day out.
I do try it on at least once a day.
Lovely. Lovely. I'm sure it cleans up real nice in the shower, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's real good. Got to give it a good scrub every once in a while.
Sure.
Well, thank you again, Avery. That was awesome having you on the show, man. This has been a great show, man. I think it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody go follow Avery on Instagram at Avery Jenkins, right?
Got it. That's the one.
Yes. Anything you want to say before we part ways here, Avery?
I just appreciate you guys reaching out to me. An honor to be the first disc golf interview on your show, and definitely a blast. Good to meet you guys. It's fun to talk about disc golf. Great to talk about craft beer, and all the best to you on your future shows. And keep me posted. It's always cool to see what you guys are doing, and all the best to you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for being on, and we will definitely keep in touch.
Yes.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, seriously, what a great time, man. I think Avery was a perfect guest to have on. Not only did we get a chance to talk disc golf, but obviously the guy loves his craft beer, and that was very apparent. So that was a great, great time with him.
Oh, for sure. And we got to teach him a little bit about pickleball, too.
Well, I think that was a good episode. What about you?
Yeah, I think that was a fantastic episode. That was a lot of fun. I still can't believe it. We had a professional disc golfer, a world champion disc golfer on our show.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it. It's great, the connections that we're starting to make through this podcast. And I hope you guys enjoy the guests that we're reaching out to and bringing to you. I know I'm loving spending time with them, and I hope you guys do too.
Yeah, it's been incredible. It's been super fun, and I still can't believe it. Like our last few episodes have had such amazing guests. It seems unreal to me, and I love it.
Well, thank you. This is episode 21. So to the 21 of you out there still watching and listening, we thank you guys. You know who you are.
Yes, thank you very much.
As always, we'd love to hear feedback. You can reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram, both at Eddie and Webby. You can also leave comments below if you so wish. And you can download the Anchor app. Boop, 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 boop. You can leave us a little voice message that we will definitely, most likely, 99% of the time, almost always, pretty much so, going to play it on the air.
There's a very good chance. A very, very good chance.
Yeah, definitely let us know. We want to interact with you guys. So on that note, I'm Eddie.
And until next time, this is Webby, not Eddie, signing off.
See ya.
Well done.